So today, this hour, I want to talk with you about the most important word in the English language and the most confusing word in the English language. I say that love is the most important word because if you look at our literature, if you look at our religions, if you look at our movies, if you look at our music, you will see that love is a central theme in all of those. But love is also the most confusing word in the English language. I say that because we use the word love in 1,000 ways. We say, for example, I love hot dogs. Or where I live in North Carolina, we say, I love barbecue. And then I hear people say, you know, I just love the mountains. Oh, love the beach. Oh, love my new car. Love my dog. Love my mama. And then to a special someone we say, I love you. Hot dogs and barbecue, and I love you. Now, I'm not going to talk about 1,000 ways in which we use the word love. I'm going to talk only about 3 ways, and I'm going to really focus on one of those. The first is what we typically call falling in love. Now, we have a lot of songs about this. Most of them are country songs. Most of the country songs, they're either falling in love or falling out of love. But really, all the genre of music talks a lot about love, this aspect of love, falling in love. But we don't do a whole lot to help our young people with this whole thing of falling in love. I like to think that it all begins with a little tingle. You have to have a tingle to go out for the first hamburger. I mean, you don't go out with just anybody for a hamburger. And you know, sometimes when you go out on the first date, you lose the tingles. You find out something about them that you can't tolerate. And the next time they call you for a hamburger, you're not hungry. And that relationship never gets off the ground. But there are other relationships.
That tragedy pulled us together. And marriage creates a framework that gives you something more than just in your own realm of experience you can gain from life. And there is this counter belief, though, that I think we have to accept a little responsibility for, that marriage takes more than it gives. And I say, in my generation, we are advising our young people many times with an implied belief that marriage takes more than it gives. Have you ever heard parents tell their kids in their 20s, man, you know, don't worry about marriage yet. Just kind of relax, live it up. You know, you're only single, well, not anymore, but you know. Don't settle down. Experience life. Take your time. What's the implication? When you get married, you finally stepped into that death sentence of eternal incarceration. No! Think of what we're implying. How many of us are saying, you know, hey, man, it's going to be great when you get married. My wife instilled in you and Jessica from day one because you were like little girls, and my wife's like, you know, I can't wait till they get married. She instilled a belief that marriage is around the corner and that marriage gives way more than it takes.
When you're interacting with somebody else, the more you try to suppress emotion, the more tense you become, the more aroused you become physiologically, and so does the person you're talking to. You become more tense and you communicate it, right, to the other person, and they become more tense. So this is what happens when couples say things like, I just don't want to talk about it, okay? Can't we just leave it and talk about it later? And the other person says, no, we can't. And they can't actually tell you, because my heart is beating faster, I can hardly breathe. This is James Gross. He's talked about emotion. So all these different directions, emotion theorists, neuroscientists talking about things like oxytocin, cuddle hormones. Right, I'm going to talk to you about a very way out concept a bit later called resonance that physicists talk about. MDs doing health science of looking at relationships, anthropologists, social psychologists, all these people, and of course, us, educators and clinical psychologists. We have 25 years of research on EFT. These are all strands coming together, and the amazing thing is they're all starting to say the same thing. They are all coming up with a clear, logical picture that gives us a way through this amazing phenomena called this emotional connection between people who love each other. Okay.
Men, it's a whole different story. For men, when we're not coping well with stress, we don't extend out further. We come back to ourselves. So we actually take more care of ourselves. We think more about ourselves when we're under stress. So we work where we're giving to others. And now it's time to recuperate, to find balance from stress. And what do? We find a couch and we sit down. We can't get up. You see, you women, you think it's just your husband. You're thinking, why doesn't he get up? Why doesn't he see everything that needs to be done? We've got this huge list of things. His list disappears. When he's under stress, he has to recuperate. His way to recuperate is to find a couch and sit. And I first started noticing this, of course, being a man, but I thought, was it just me? And I found it was other men. And then I would go to the malls and just watch men in the shopping malls. Now, if I go shopping by myself, like any man, you've got a target, you've got a goal. You're excited, you get to your goal, you kill it, and you get out of there as fast as possible. And you're proud of your capture, okay? So you did it. But then observe men when they're with their wives in the shopping mall. Because there is no one goal when you're shopping with a woman. You don't even know what the goal is. You start out doing this, and she changes her mind to go here, and oh, might as well go in here. I didn't know they're having a sale. And she's going to move in here, and she's going to wander around. Then she's going to put on all kinds of outfits, and he's going to go, looks good, let's buy it. No, I don't think so. I'll come back. Come back, you got it right there. Kill it and take it home. Nope. So it's a big mystery. The whole process is a mystery to us. So you can sit and watch men with their wives, and they're tired.
First of
They're
all,
so
I'm
tired.
urging you to talk about and dispel the myth that men want lots of sex and women just get headaches. I want you to establish that there's actually such a thing as women who want more sex than their husbands. Look, I know it, you know it, but there's an incredible amount of ignorance out there because very few people talk about it. I've discovered that shame silences. For example, I've been on lots of radio shows where there are call-ins, and who calls into these shows? First, there are the men who have high desire, and they're calling in for advice about how to get their wives interested. And then there are women who have low desire. They're calling in because they also often want advice about how to boost their desire. There are high desire wives who call in. They're looking for acknowledgement, and they want to feel like they're okay, but often looking for suggestions as well. But conspicuously missing from the mix are men with low sexual desire, even in arenas that are completely anonymous. Remember, this is radio. These men are nowhere to be found.
This past year, to me, screams for the integrity within marriage. To me, you couldn't pick up, a magazine, you couldn't turn on the TV. Well, hardly a week that went by without getting the message that getting married and staying married just really isn't enough to enhance the vision of marriage or give it the honor that it really deserves. We've got to do better, especially for our young people. If you read some of these statistics, in 2003, National Center for Policy Analysis, a study by researchers from the National Marriage Project of Rutgers University, you know these people, never married singles, and this was like 20 to 29 years of age, found nearly half of America's 20-somethings are willing to totally and virtually abolish marriage. Half. 45% agree that the government should not even be involved in licensing marriage. 43% agree that the government should provide cohabiting couples with the same benefits as married couples. Only 16% of young adults agree the main purpose of marriage is to raise children. And these aren't just children of divorce, by the way. In another study, women whose parents' marriage was unhappy had extremely low scores related to their own expectations of marriage and their willingness to marriage. This is